Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to what is probably the best 300% RP booster battle I have yet played in War Thunder. So, I spawned in hopes of getting to the B point quickly here. I didn't quite get the spawn I was hoping for. I was a little farther back. It ended up not being too big of a deal. But one of my respawns later, I'll try to remember to mention it, is the spawn position I was actually hoping for, which is obviously a little bit farther forward. As it is, it worked out okay. So most people on this map generally go for A because you can sit up on the high ground and shoot down the rest of the map. So I went for B, trying to capture it quickly and then see what I could do after that. And as I peek up here to take a look with the night vision, with the thermals up there, right as I turn back, there's an XM1 here. He gets a shot at me, but thankfully he bounces it off the side of my turret. And then I see another guy coming across the bridge. He's not looking. Managed to knock him out in a single shot, which was pretty crazy. Punch my smoke off and then maneuver within the smoke to get after the XM1. And just happened to catch him with a one-shot kill as well here. I was kind of surprised. I've got the 3BM42 rounds, obviously, for my T80B now, as well as the Contact ERA armor, which I'm really glad I have. But even so, I didn't expect to knock out both of those guys with one shot apiece there, so that worked really well. And then we finished off the B point capture, and right away I'm already happy about the 300% RP booster here, and we're not even close to done yet. So refilled my smoke. Turn around to take a look up, see if I can spot anybody through that smoke with my thermals there. You can't see anything, that's okay. Got a T-64B coming up to the B point, so I'm going to turn around, head back, and see if I can maneuver around and come down on top of the Charlie point and see if I can do anything good there. So I hear a helicopter, swing over to investigate. It is a friendly helicopter, as I hoped it would be, but see some smoke, still can't see through the smoke with the thermal sights, so that's pretty much a given. Peek under the bridge, just looking for any sort of enemy contact. Fire off some artillery on the normal sitting spot above Charlie. And down we go. So you can see we've got a teammate inside Charlie, but he's not actually capturing it. Now he's decapping it. He wasn't capping it at first, though. So that's why I headed down here and then followed a KPZ-70 in. The three of us get in here just in time for a lot of artillery to hit. And we are capturing Charlie. So in a moment, you should see, after I punch off my smoke, there we go, a missile just flew right through us, right through my smoke there. So I can tell there's an enemy helicopter up somewhere, and then through the smoke, as I'm searching around here trying to figure out where the missile came from, you can actually see the rotor blades right there. And I thought this was an AH-1Z, but it doesn't really matter what it is because my guns can't reach high enough. And right as I'm trying to get to a position up the hill here, where I can raise my gun up high enough to shoot. There's a B-17 coming. That's hilarious. I saw the bomber coming. I didn't realize what it was, and I didn't see it get killed there because I was in the death cam. But so as I was trying to get my gun high enough to fire at that helicopter, I got knocked out, obviously. So decided to come back in my MiG-15 and deal with the helicopter before he becomes too much of a nuisance up there behind the mountain because I knew where he was. So I hear an enemy jet up ahead, or I hear a jet. I couldn't tell what it was exactly till right about here when I could see his dot moving across the background. So I pick him up. I can tell it's obviously an enemy jet, and there's a friendly helicopter nearby. So I'm going to try and catch this F-86 and just make sure that helicopter that I heard there was actually friendly. And sure enough, there it is. Okay, verify. Now I've lost the F-86. In the backdrop here, he went low, so I'm circling around now trying to find their helicopter and take him out. He's still there, you just can't see him on the, in the background right now. He's still hiding in the mountains right there as I'm searching for him. And I can hear my own friendly helicopter here, so it's kind of throwing off my sound detection. So Circle back around, I pick up the enemy jet out there in the distance, and I can tell he's probably heading back towards my BO-105 here, so I'm trying to get back and intercept him in time, but I couldn't quite get my MiG turned around on him fast enough, and unfortunately he shoots down my friendly helicopter. Couldn't get my nose turned around on him fast enough, so I've got him fully engaged now, and I'm going to try and chase him down and see if the MiG-15 is everything that I thought it was. My MiG-15 is almost totally stock, so I have the 23mm gun belts for it, but that's about it. So rather than get pulled into a scissors with this guy, I went up over the top high on him to let him do some maneuvering and then try and keep my distance behind him. It almost didn't work here, but I was luckily able to dive underneath his turn as he pulled up into me. He was inside of my turn for sure there, but I was able to get down below his gun arc. And then almost dove on him here and decided if I did that, I'd probably lock up and go nose down right into the ground. So I elected to roll off of it and then try to keep the scissors going a little bit here. Back up underneath him, just about have him. I'm just a little behind where my gun firing arc needs to be there. But then I finally figure out, okay, right here I think I've got a pretty good chance at him. Get my shots off, take off his wing, and there we go, we got him. Now, let's see if we can maybe go find that helicopter, now that the enemy Sabre is dealt with. So I can see that the enemy helicopter is now getting kills again, so I know he's around somewhere. So back in we go to hunt him down. I know where he was before, and I know the most likely place for enemy helicopters to hide from their side of the map. So that's what I'm looking for here. I can hear him. I know I'm close. Get up high, see if we can spot him in any of these little valleys here. These cuts in the mountain here. I can't see him for some reason. And I couldn't see him in the actual battle either. And then I zoom in here where I know he's got to be hiding. And then finally I can see him camouflaged against the backdrop. He was really difficult to see, but I did finally pick him off. So that's 2 enemy aircraft dealt with. Come back down around. We're going to make a strafing run on enemy positions here. Heard another helicopter. It is a friendly, which is fine. But he did pull me off my strafing run, but that was also alright. So unfortunately, I couldn't see the M551 there when I circled around, because he would have been a much better candidate for my strafing run, but I did get some strafing in on this XM1 there, and managed to not fly into a pine tree. And then the XM1 that I had strafed got killed, and I picked up an assist for that with my MiG-15, so I ended up with a lot of research for my MiG-15 at the end of this battle. End up with the 2 air kills and that assist on that XM1. And then I figured I might as well come in here and see if I can strafe down some of these ADATs and at least mark them for my team. Pick up this guy right here, strafe in on him, and actually killed him. So, ended up with 2 air and 1 ground kill and an assist in my MiG-15. So with a 300% RP booster, that paid out pretty well for me, you'll see at the end. And then I respawned in my T-64B, and the reason this is the spawn that I originally hoped for in my T-80B. Basically right on top of the road directly into Bravo. So they have taken Bravo back away from us, so I'm heading back there in my T-64 myself. And for those of you who are going to ask why am I driving the T-64B and not the T-80U, the answer is simple. My T-80U is spaded. My T-64B is not. So I'm trying to grind out mods on my T-64B to get to the 3BM42 APF-SDS shells on it to make it a strong third option for my top-tier Soviet tank lineup behind the T-80U and the T-80B, both of which have also got that ammo. So happened to get a breach shot on this Abrams here, waiting on the Bravo bridge. Put an ATGM into his turret that didn't hit where I wanted it to. And then he gets knocked out by a teammate behind me for another assist, which I was totally okay with. So I had missiles loaded because this guy had respawned in his helicopter again, and I was waiting to shoot him, and then the wreck of this XM1 stops me from getting behind cover and getting another capture on Bravo by the same guy in the UH-1 that I had shot down. He came back in a backup UH-1 and sat in the exact same spot. So I came back in my IL-28SH to go take him out again, and now I know there are ADATs up, and I actually see a missile launch coming from the ground here in a moment. There it is, and I turn and pull hard and try to maneuver away from it, but it was unfortunately to no avail. And there's a part where I pick up the live recording at the end of this where I mentioned that I keep forgetting that when I spawn in the air in my IL-28SH, it's got those booster rockets on it. And unfortunately, they may have helped me avoid the ADATS missile, but probably not. So the UH-1 has been killed, but I came back in my Tunguska here to try and finish him off because I know exactly where he is yet again. So the idea of spawning in the Tunguska here was because I knew where that helicopter had been sitting, right up in that cut in the mountains again. Now he'd been taken out again by, I think, an automatic. But at any rate, the B point is yet uncaptured by our team again, and I'm still focused on looking for this UH-1. And I kind of bumped through that Leopard a little bit, but I was zoomed in looking up at the cut up there in the mountains where I expect to see that Cobra, or Huey, rather. Not a Cobra, but a regular Huey. And then cross back the bridge yet again, back into the B point. Our guys had done a really good job at the A point, which really led to all of this victory and me being able to constantly keep fighting back to Bravo. So you can see a radar hit there for briefly, and then as I get into Bravo, there's another Tunguska firing up in the air, and here comes a jet. Get some shots at him. It is a F4 who's flying in with the bullpups, and I managed to hit him just as he spams off all of his bullpups. Good job to him, I guess. And then that was that. Did manage to take him out, and I actually managed to capture the point right before he hit me. And then it was time to drive my T-72, which is my current third option behind my... Well, in this lineup, it's behind the T-80B and the T-64B, but... I'm actually enjoying driving the T-72. It's obviously a bit less mobile, and has a bit less protection and a bit less penetration in all of its weapons, but it's actually a pretty good tank, I think. There's a Bradley taken out on the hilltop there, so I had seen him right before he got annihilated. And this time, as I am actually heading back to Bravo, I'm going to cross through Bravo and see if I can get back down to help at Charlie, and then Charlie starts getting taken as well, so... So I'm figuring, let's go see what we can do to reinforce everybody at Charlie, because we've got A pretty well controlled now. And when you're looking in third person, sometimes you don't notice exactly what you're heading towards sideways, and you run into a bridge abutment. But luckily I wasn't going very fast, and I spot this XM803 coming out of the spawn. Decide to be patient, wait for him to come out, get a good shot into him, and manage to knock out 2 of his crew in 1 shot. And that's kill number 7 for the battle. So I've got a BMP following me. We're getting this M551 is getting marked on the map, and he gets artillery fired at him. And then he gets knocked out by our Leopard 2A5 down there in Charlie. So I was driving over in to take him out. He's knocked out. I know there's artillery falling there, so just bypass that spot altogether. Take a peek at their normal sniper hill here. Nothing doing. And now it's kind of a point of I'm just going to sit here behind this rock and watch up on their camping hill on their A-side spawn and see what approaches. Now, I'm also very well aware that if I go any farther close here, I'm probably going to trigger their notification system on their spawn. And I'm pretty sure that the BMP drove in too close and set off the proximity warning that somebody was there. So I'm looking up towards the ridge at A. And then in a moment, we get artillery fired at us here, and I think it's because I believe it's because the BMP-2 got a little too close. But an M5, there's a G55S just bombed out an IPM-1, and I found that pretty hilarious. And there's an M551 up there at A who just got hit at the A point and set on fire. And as I look back towards the A point, there he is driving over the hill, and I managed to get a shot into him before he can make it down to safety and knock him out for kill number 8. And there's the artillery fired on us right there. And it's like dead on top of us. So right as I'm pulling out to get away from it, look back up on the ridgeline, I see this guy coming. He misses. I figure I've got him. And then my shot ricochets off the bottom of his tank. And that's when I know, yeah, the T-72 ain't going to survive that. The BMP-2, though, actually takes him out. By scouting him. And then a Leopard 2A5 killed him. But then I came back in my T-62M1, which is really just in this lineup as a filler tank and a very late spawn tank, and just because I'm never ever going to drive the thing by itself, probably. So I decided I would see if I couldn't get up to the A point and recapture it, because we've actually really got nobody forward by the A point, but the enemy team is down to just a few players left right now, so I figure I've got a pretty good chance. There's the aforementioned G55S. Unfortunately, he gets his wing shot off by a Sergeant York, so he did good work against an IPM-1, but he didn't make it back home to land and celebrate. So an enemy tank gets marked up here in front of me. There's a guy calling him out on the map as well, so I'm aware of where he is. I'm trying to just sneak around him, get in and recapture the A point before the battle ends here, because there's only a couple of enemy players left at this point. And he's knocked out. And we're now safe to get in here and capture A. So you can hear a crashed helicopter near us. It's not alive anymore. It actually wasn't even... There actually wasn't even any sound in the actual battle. This is just a replay glitch. So artillery gets called on me here while I'm capturing A, and I decide to just hide behind the rock and just chance it. If I drive out in the open, I might get shot in the side and miss the capture. So I will risk the artillery fire, and I time it just to get away from it just as I finish the capture. And then I went to try and climb up this hill right here, but between the T-62M's unspaded mobility and the soft angled terrain, there was pretty much nothing doing. So backed up to try and see if I could spot whatever was shooting artillery at me. It's already been destroyed. Then more artillery gets fired at Bravo, and I figure I'm just going to drop down the hill and see if I can head towards Charlie, because somebody decapped it. So the fastest that a T-62M will ever go, right there, dropping down that hill, and then right back to crawling speed after that. And there's not much more action, and this is where I manually started a recording, because my OBS hadn't recorded this, and we'll pick back up with the live after this. All right. Well done, team. Heaven knows how that one didn't record, because it was recording when I looked at it, but yeah, there you go. That is a 300% RP booster. Well used. Alright, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this one. I did, in fact, enjoy it, despite all the deaths and the part where I got hit with a SAM, even though I was jinking as hard as I could. But, I mean, my IL-28 wasn't moving that fast, and I keep forgetting that when I spawn in the air in my IL-28SH, it's got the boosters attached to it. But whatever. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day.